And Cisco, being a very big company that sells products, hardware, services, and experiences to all size customers. But it's really this space, the SMB to mid-market space, that is changing not only dynamically at Cisco with our engineers and our developers, but for how we're going to enable you to be successful selling Cisco and promoting Cisco and giving your customer a 5-star experience. So it's a pleasure to be here today, and hopefully over the next 45 minutes you can take at least 2 to 3 things with you that you can engage your D&H sales rep, your executive team, and the sales management here to go on a journey over the next year and really develop your business, because it can't be a better time to be in not only networks, but being in IT as a business owner. It's scary at times because of how fast things are moving along, not only from a financial standpoint, but an OpEx standpoint. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about kind of a big funnel of digital transformation across multiple clouds. Where the network's going, on-prem, off-prem for small business, what you can do to kind of engage your customer conversation, give you all a talk track on how that looks. Then we'll pop the hood and we'll look at a couple of the products that you guys could sell in SMB today. The cloud software, some of the new appliances that are going to be announced. Just a little shameless plug, next week is our big Cisco Live US. Any partners in here going to Cisco Live next week? A few? Great, glad to have you there. We are in a very big transformation in cloud, but first of all, we want to thank you all, the D&H partners, on what's happening right now. In cloud security, we're up 78%. If you watch the street lately, what's been announced across, you're seeing Cisco start to move out there, the stock's starting to move. Part of that is that reoccurring subscription model. What do we call that in our business? Anyone? Predictability. Money, I like that. Money, compounding interest, the money machine. We see values of things changing. Before, you'd go and you'd sell switch, router, wireless, and deploy it phones, maybe some B or C servers out there for the data center, right? And you're still doing that today, and that business won't change. That's that CapEx business. You guys are selling every day. But now we're getting into selling that cloud software, the licenses for the SMB market. And we're seeing it through Meraki, we're seeing it through SMB, through cloud security like Umbrella, we'll talk about, and AMP for Endpoint. But that software subscription business is up 37%. But the world is exploding with change and possibility. And we're going to take you on this journey, not only in this room today, but we're going to have you really conceptually think about what you're doing today in your business, where the IT network could become a consultative approach for those next 4 or 5 years in your business. Because there is a lot of margin out there. Everybody wants to extend their service, their extra edge in selling solution and margin, and that's key. So this journey, as we start to look at it, there's the macro environment. There's our specific business around data and tech. We'll tap on that. But then it's the customer and that customer experience that you're looking at. And at Cisco, when we look at macro, there's things we can control and we can't control. We can't control necessarily like tariffs that are out there. We can't control geopolitical environments that well. So our economy sometimes ebbs and flows based on those macro things that are out of control. But on data and tech, these are things you can control and things you can develop within your practice. And one thing that's happening right now is the application API business. How many folks here have developers or work with developers around APIs with your customers? About a fourth of the room, a third of the room? Okay. Part of that experience is what you're selling and how you're integrating it becomes your consultative money machine. And how your customer perceives you all as business owners is very critical. And what your maybe break fix install, maybe it's networking common gear, prim-based gear around switch, route, wireless, every day. Phones, IP phone. And looking at MSPs. Show of hands, how many in the room are pivoting to more of a services-based business, MSP? Look at this. More than half the room is saying, hey, I'm into services. I want to offload some of this CapEx type stuff and get into predictability. And I can do this with Cisco every day in the SMB market, and we'll show you how. But that customer experience is critical. 5 stars of CSAT. We're basing half our company's investment in headcount on making sure Cisco can deliver customer experience. Because think of Cisco, right? They think, hey, that's the food company, right? COISCO. You don't see us advertised at the park bench, the billboard. Barely see us on TV. You know, we're the backbone plumbing of the internet, right? We build switches and routers and giant things for countries, governments, enterprises, service providers, Fortune 500. But we also cater to the mid-market and the SMB business with things for many years. But the way we've developed it, we have to be better at that customer experience with you, the partner, with D&H, and be able to drive that experience. Show of hands, name a company, or just someone in the room, name a company that brings a smile to your face because they delivered good customer experience. Anyone volunteer? Perfect example. Disney, good example. How about Amazon a little bit, plus or minus? They're figuring out how to automate stuff to make it really, wow. You sent me an email saying my package is dropping from the sky. That can give you that feeling of, wow, they're thinking ahead. They're anticipating my emotion, my passion for what I'm about to buy. In-N-Out Burger. I like burgers, so I had to throw that out there. In-N-Out Burger, right? I think it's certain companies that have delivered customer experience. Everyone in this room has to think about that. Through the programs that D&H helps deliver, through your investment, and being able to understand and comprehend IT. Change leads to opportunity. And when we move forward, this is the force multiplier. This is how it works. This is what Cisco's really trying to drive in the SMB market. We have 17,000 direct AMs, okay? But there's 282,000 partner AMs and partner owners and partner SEs out there that we work with through our distribution partners. And it becomes a 16x multiplier effect. That's how we scale. And our pro channel approach and ability to touch that SMB, this is how it's going to happen. So we got to enable you because there's a lot of dollars out there. Look at this. I mean, I'll just do a couple of statistical slides here, but $437 billion in U.S. digital spending at 1.7 trillion worldwide, in 2019. As that everybody looks at these dollars, well, how do I capture that dollar? It's going to be through this transformation of digital. Top SMB businesses and IT priorities. Here's just a couple more just statistics on 55% of small business consider reducing cost as one of the top business priorities. 67% of SMB will have DX as a key strategy for IT, and by 2023, 60% of SMB will use alternative channel to procure technology, including service provider channel. That's that SP. And you're starting to see how this is evolving. Why MSP is starting to become a very popular acronym with an IT reseller, a system integrator, a VAR, a managed services provider, a managed security services provider. You don't have to say, I'm exactly this, but you want to define to your customers so they know exactly what you're delivering. So we are reimagining the future together, and this is Cisco's kind of roadmap for how we're going to build and transform the network in a multi-cloud environment. Through our data center and ACI and HyperFlex in our data center. Some of you may play in data center, but it's how to drive that multi-cloud approach. Reinventing the network with software-defined wide area network, software-defined network. Meraki SD-WAN, Meraki Secure SD-WAN, you'll hear about that in a moment. Unlocking the power of data through tetration and app dynamics. These are acquisitions we've had. And then security is the foundational for everything across the IP. So if you're selling access points, switches, phones, routers, things that we've been selling for 2-3 decades, we're having to add that layer of security onto it. And the upsell on one license has a 30% margin increase because of adding just 10% more on the services piece, 10% on the overall aggregated renewal. And then a year from now, when you go to get that license renewal, if you bought a 1 year versus a 3 year, just for a trial, hey, try Umbrella for a year. Cisco Umbrella. Adding that Umbrella subscription has a multiplier effect. So there's a lot of margin in it. And we talked about meaningful experiences. Let's kick this over. Nope. There we go. Our heritage, your confidence, leading market transitions together. I thought this is kind of interesting. Everybody likes to kind of see the history of where we've been, where we're going. 1993 up to 2019, you can see that ladder of where Cisco's big messages were around Cisco Live, new transitions in executives, and things that were driving in the thing. And if you look all the way up the stack, you'll remember a lot of things. In 2012, the big Internet of Things kicked in, right? You saw a lot of Internet of Everything, connected sensors, connecting everything. Then we started talking about software-defined networks, which is still an engine that's driving. And then integrated security, which I just mentioned a moment ago, putting integrated security across all parts of the network. And now we're talking about multi-cloud. There's services out there like AWS and Google and all those that are out there on public clouds. How secure are those? We've got solutions that work for that for SMB. So when you're dealing with offload workloads that are in public clouds, and then there's still going to be a private cloud. And that's where we get the word multi-cloud. So we're never always going to have everything go, hey, my business, I don't want to touch everything, just push it off to that cloud. No, there's still going to be some horsepower and engines running within that company's environment somewhere at distributed branch edge, maybe a small local data center where they want to keep everything private, right? And then intent-based networking, neural analytics, analyzing voice, video, and data. We've all been pushing through the pipes, ones and zeros. Now we look at the encrypted packet. Cisco has the ability to look at the encrypted packet and go, does that look quasi-bad, good, semi-good, great? Instantly. And if it does look bad, it can contain it. And you'll see in a moment how that works. Include security topic in every discussion. Why security software matters. Security becomes that leading consultative approach. Even if you do not have one today, D&H can help you through your programs, enable you not just with Cisco, but with a true security go-to-market approach. And you can start with one piece of software. And we'll show you that one piece of software in a moment. If you just say, hey, you know what, I'm kind of new to this, where do I start? But we want to talk about predictability, strategic relevance, open up new budgets, and get you that profitable growth. This is where we're going, and this is where we're going to have our partners help lead us. This racetrack or this cycle right here is around customer experience. You all in this room probably deliver most of these bullets on this track to deliver customer experience, but we had to kind of build a framework. Because we're so big, we had to say, let's make a framework of this. Let's look at other companies. Let's look at the industry and look at how do we get 5-star customer experience and get our partner channel to go through this renew, land, adopt life cycle, but deliver on the edge. Because if we don't get that return and you don't get that value on renewing, we're not doing our part to grow. So we need you as partners to get involved in this blue. You guys are involved in all step of the way. Our distribution partners have tracks to leverage, land, adopt, expand, and renew across the life cycle, helping you all become the consultants of tomorrow across IP. Some of you already do this excellent today. Some of you may be good at a few of these things. We want to get you to feel real comfortable because communication only works if I can deliver a message or we can deliver a message and have it resonate with our clients, right? And selling is how that works too. It doesn't change. We're just being pushed into this era of digital transformation, and it can be somewhat fearful, uncertainty, dealing with adversity out there in the marketplace. Oops. So let's kick into where Cisco security is going with today's risk reality. More connections than ever before. So we're connecting the unconnected, more sensors, digital sensors out there, more IP addresses out there. Think of like the breaches. Like years ago, you heard about the Target breach, right? Target was a huge company catching Walmart. Now they're just trying to get their neck back. And that's because the HVAC on port 80 was breached and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of credit card transactions were stolen. Many CEOs have been fired. CIOs. Companies will get hit. Small businesses are going to get hit. If it's the email breach, if it's human error because I clicked, or if it's because, hey, their network is antiquated and you all haven't maybe talked to them a little bit about, hey, how to bring their network up to modern times. This is a big thing. So operations, multi-cloud reality. Did they push stuff off to a public cloud? Well, we've got software for that, for SMB. So the evolution of the internet, this is a little humor here. If you think about this, in 1998, go back in time. I hope everybody was here in 1998. Maybe some of you weren't, but I don't know. You don't meet people on the internet. That didn't exist. Don't put your sensitive financial information on the internet. Don't get into a stranger's car. I was fortunate enough, I was in my grad school classes at the time, and I had to pick my thesis or like my practicum for business. I didn't know what to do. But I was thinking about getting into IT and looking at things. I was working for a computer distributor at the time. And I thought, how about I do a comparison between shopping online for computer hardware versus brick and mortar. So I did some surveys. And to net it out, only 5 in 300 people were willing to put their credit card online in 1998. To buy anything. You know where I did the survey? Out in front of Computer City, CompUSA. Remember those stores? Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. What's changed? Now we're throwing our credit card, we're literally getting into a car with a stranger, not knowing what we're doing, and they bill our credit card and we get a free ride somewhere, right? UberLyft. Disrupted the, taxi cab industry, right? Think about that. So this is why it's so important as we go more digital and we connect more, that you all take that consultative approach and that SMB to the smaller 25 seat and down companies. So continuous threat detection and continuous trust verification. This is the core of what our software is built on. Always on, always identifying, and always knowing. Prevent attacks while continuously detecting and remediating the most advanced threats. Continues to verify and identify a device across the software-defined perimeter. So as we look at how we're addressing threat, we got to look at it as Cisco is building a multi-domain architecture that security connects any user on any device on any network to any application. Users and data with applications in yellow and devices. Okay? And that could be in a public cloud or a private cloud. One of our biggest things that we're driving right now is application DevNet. Developing the applications. Show of hands, how many people have like CCNA, CCNPs, or CCIEs in the room? Over half, okay? Thank you so much for that dedication. Our next era of education and curriculum is going to be around DevNet and application development. Because think of your CCNP or CCIE if you're in there, or a CCNA. That's kind of the foundations for networking, layers 1 through 7, in that sense, how to build and transform. But it's the application development that sits on top of the network. That's where your employees are going to have to be. Not so much they're developing, but working with those app developers so they understand how to install, support, and sell it. So very critical to what we're doing. This is our secret weapon. I think you've all attended maybe 1 or 2 presentations from Cisco and heard this word, Talos. A few nods in the room. This is our secret weapon. It's the world's largest publicly transferred collection agency of security intelligence on planet Earth, publicly. Our US government has the largest private one globally. So we see more and collect more with these 252 researchers with about 20 data centers around the world. We see more traffic and anomalies on the internet than 5 times the Google searches in an hour. Think about it, that's trillions of anomalies that we collect. And we compartmentalize like the Dewey Decimal System. We go, hey, this looks good, this doesn't look good. And we push it back out to our software, all the way down to our SMB software. Talk about that in a minute. But the ability to apply threat intent correctly at scale is the magic of true protection. So this is the difference when you say, hey, I have an antivirus I sell. I have an SIEM with logs and lists. I have something called email. There's some manufacturers that do that. I have something that looks at mobility, cross security. I've got an endpoint protection. I've got a firewall. All those are great. And for the 90s and 2000s, that's how we address security. But now it's got to be integrated. And that's why you're seeing not only Cisco build a complete integrated portfolio, maybe we got to jump, but you're seeing other people who you work with maybe in security. What are they doing? They're acquiring. They're trying to build integrated from endpoint to distributed branch edge to the campus data center to the cloud and back down to the endpoint. We have it all. And we have it all for SMB. So Talos collects everything, and I'll show you how Talos works. These are some of the stats, just to give you that feeling of confidence that this really is what's helping Cisco change what you buy and sell to your customer, because you're getting this for free. You don't buy a SKU of Talos. This is all built on the back end in real time. So this analytics is not only something that you have within our software, but it's something you don't pay for. And this kind of shows you the funnel approach. It's like cut off over there here. Let's see if I can I'll give you guys I'll save the movie here. Nope, gotta go this way with it, okay. Talos, the research institution, they're collecting everything on the web, dark web, whatever, looks at it, analyzes it, puts it into categories, pushes it back out via our software, AMP for endpoint, Umbrella, some of those things that you're buying right now. Billions of events, automated analytics, machine learning, context learning, it goes in. There's a tool that's free called Cisco Threat Response for SMB and mid-market. Comes when you buy, like when you buy Umbrella or AMP for endpoints or Firewall. You look at Cisco Threat Response. It compartmentalizes everything. It hooks into things like Meraki and some other things. And you're able to have one GUI, one screen, 15-inch on the laptop. If you have bigger screens, that's great. And you can look at everything, and it spits out reports. 4 clicks. It's pretty easy. I do it. I can learn it. I can do a demo on it. And then, as we look back, I got to fix this again. Let's move it back. Tick, 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 tick. All right. This is kind of what it looks like when you put it through the washer, right? You have to get product telemetry, data sharing, vulnerability discovery, threat traps, and you pull it in. And you got endpoint, network, and cloud. Everybody's kind of familiar with kind of how that network's built. And this is everything in our architecture. And we'll show you a slide in just a moment. But that's everything we're doing. And you guys have invested in firewalls, endpoint protection, email security, possibly. If you haven't, it's there for trial. And this is the architectural advantage. Threat happens. You want to address it and see it at the endpoint. You want to stop it there. It goes into the cloud through advanced malware protection. ThreatGrid and Talos look at it. Then it pushes back out simultaneously to the network endpoint, or if it's in the cloud, public or private, and updates everybody on the fly. So that's kind of cool, right? This is where it's going. I can be preemptive. I can see what could possibly happen. I could address risk ahead of time. And even if something does get breached, because things will get breached forever. The bad guys are always going to be bad, and there will always be good guys. We have movies and themes and lifestyle all built around that. So there's always going to be attack. But if we're always able to be better at addressing attack with our small business clients, I would buy into that. I would start to do more. So this is everything in our portfolio. Could be overwhelming for some, but we consolidated it through acquisitions. And from a network standpoint, we've got our new firewalls. I'll talk to you and I'll show you one in just a minute. Our new web security and email that are built into the secure internet gateway. Our advanced malware protection using Umbrella, an AMP for endpoint with AnyConnect, all integrated. And now Duo. Anybody here a Duo user? Awesome. You know, we acquired Duo, correct? Nods. It will be hopefully on GPL for partner consumption by December. Okay, so that's just a heads up. And then this will be a solution of cloud security for SMB. Duo, AMP for endpoint, Umbrella. You buy it, gives you the endpoint protection, gives you the DNS layer from Umbrella, and gives you the multi-factor authentication. You don't even touch anything. You can sell it as a service. About $8,000 for 25 seats. How cool is that? So this is something that's going to be doable today. Currently, if you don't have Duo, you do AMP and Umbrella as a cloud-based service, AMP for endpoint and Umbrella as well. You add a firewall if you have distributed branch edge. All right, this is good. I get props, all right. On the left here, this is a solution you can buy today. 25 seats, starting at $5,000 to $10,000. You got our next-gen firewall. I'll give you a little preview. I know I don't show props that often. This is the brand new. Nobody's ever seen this. You guys are the first in the room on planet Earth. And I'm telling you, this is true. I was in San Jose last week with Matt Garr and our head of our product management development, David Geckler, who runs all of Cisco from a go-to-market standpoint for architectures. And I was there, said, I got a show next week. And these partners are very heavily into SMB and mid-market. I said, by any chance, can I have those 2 units? And they're all, oh, those aren't real units, those are lab units. But this is our new 1010 that's going to be announced at Cisco Live next week. Small business firewall. Anybody ever sell a 5505 or Pixbox? 5506 without the switch? Shucks, they didn't put a switch on it. Huh? This is going to have a switch on it. It's going to be deployed in the fall, but it'll have a layered PoE and a L2 switch on it. 750 megabits of throughput, 40% faster than anything in the industry. Under $1,000, it's about $700 to you all, the partner. You add a 1-year subscription, a license, about $1,400 total. You add AMP and Umbrella. Whoa, you start to get this endpoint, distributed branch edge for small business, 25 seats and down. You add your SmartNet with DNH, and you can manage it via Cisco Threat Response. Over here, same price, but you go, hey, I'm more Meraki. I'm more SD-WAN Meraki. I love that you got your new firewall out, but right now I'm using MX and MR. And they've integrated Umbrella into MR and MX. So if you're a Meraki user and you're like, hey, I want one more layer of security, add Umbrella, and then you could add the advanced Meraki AMP license. And that's a really good deployment strategy too if you're more on that Meraki side. Both, we bombed them out, bill of materials, under 10K for 25 seats. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about because this is the real stuff. You can do tomorrow with DNH. You can have their SEs set up a demo for you, do a decloud with you or your customer, and at the same time demonstrate this. And the only piece of hardware in this whole thing is at the very top, the Meraki MX or MR, or the new next-gen firewall right here. Everything else is cloud-driven. Now let's talk about your margin, profitability, buying model. There's 3 types of ways that you can make your money. First, fast track. Everybody here at Cisco fast track over the years, okay? Always pay attention to Cisco fast track. It's your everyday low pricing that when the Cisco BU goes, hey, we're not going to go change list price, but we're going to pass it through to the partner through disti. Take advantage of those fast track discounts. Meraki is on fast track. Our switches, our firewalls, APs are on fast track. And you're going to go from that standard discount up to another 10, 12, 15 points just being on fast track. And it's our way of saying, hey, you're a partner at D&H. You may be Select or Premier, a registered partner who may haven't graduated to a Select partner. You guys want to take advantage of that. Everyday low pricing, you just have to be a Cisco registered partner. Next, Security Choice EA. Anybody I know in this room, maybe an enterprise agreement? Have you all talked to a Cisco AM? Has anybody mentioned enterprise agreements to anyone in the room? 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's what I thought. All right, so we have 3. EA Choice. That's if you go in with a big customer and you're working maybe with the Cisco AM and SE out on the street. We have enterprise agreements that you get all you can eat, all you can consume, and it's built into your managed services practice, and it's geared, and it's a deal, basically, that's always on. So every year, it gets how much did you use, how much didn't you use, do you want to add and remove software? Think of that, just pay as you go, pay as you consume, these enterprise agreements. But this is available starting about $190K. You're like, whoa, $190K. But think about it, it's more of a large customer who's looking to get a bigger discount. You can go in and crush it on margin here. And the AM and the Cisco team are there to help you. And then next, my big one for today, for Q4, it's called Ignite the Firewall. Not only are we launching, June 15th, you can order this from D&H. Units are in transit from Cisco's manufacturing to their warehouse this week. June 15th, this will be orderable at D&H. Please write that down. Okay, June 15th. And we're doing a program to kick it off because we fell down. Our 5506 kind of went end of life about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago. We haven't had a small business firewall for almost a year. We allowed our competition to step on us and go, hey, Cisco's not even in that market. We had to use Meraki as kind of our fallback, which is fair, but it isn't, MX is not that small business firewall with all its features, and we'll show that to you in a minute. But we sell both. And we finally are announcing our new firewall. So we're launching Ignite the Firewall for registered deals. How many here have registered a deal at Cisco? Hope everybody in the room. It's auto approval. No AM. You don't have to wait 5 days and go, I have to get the AM's approval for the OIP. You know how that goes, right? This is auto approved, 100K or less for US commercial. So very, very cool. Meaning you register your deal. We've got a video under Ignite the Firewall, 10 minutes or less, register your deal. You've got 10K or more in list price on firewall solutions with software or hardware. It could be other stuff. 10K or more, you get 80%. A DSA from a rep can't touch it. 80% is what? NFR. All firewalls in Q4, 80% off if you register a deal. 10K or more, auto approve. Have you ever heard about that? Anything like that at Cisco? This is the thunder, and the lightning's coming. Okay? This is very, very powerful. Now, if you go, hey, I don't even sell firewalls. Well, may not matter to you, but this is very critical because our new software, everything, the new box, not just on that box, but on the 2100, 4100, if you're going up big time to some of the bigger things. So here's the three-prong approach. Register your deal, available to all select and above. If you're not select, please work with the D&H team on getting your SMB or ESS, Express Security Specialization. You need to have an AM or a partner SE, AM or SE at your company. It can be a technical person and a non-technical person. Just take the 2 exams, pass, and you can become select. And that's where Cisco kind of says that's the entry point, because select allows you to register your deals, get more profitability. You have some skin in the game because you have an SE or an AM who knows a little Cisco, has a little swagger. Very important. Increase your deal size. And then limited time offer, Q4 FY only, up to 80% off on firewall. And here's a huge opportunity for you. Not just Cisco, all firewall, PAN, Fortinet, Checkpoint, SonicWall, everybody. There's a giant firewall refresh going on right now. Why do you think that is? You think it's just we want to sell more firewalls? Don't say that. It's not the point. No. The whole point is, if you think about the ASA, or you think about any other manufacturer's product, certain rules and threats and things have developed over time. We've had to play catch up with the hardware and the firmware on the hardware. Not just Cisco, everybody else. You'll see it in the press. There's $1 billion in opportunity with 2,400 Cisco customers with firewalls, starting on the low end of the old PIX boxes, the 5505s, the 06s, 08, 16s, the old 5525s are all out there. 5525 was the most popular selling firewall of all time. It's time to get that guy out of there. So we've got refresh ready for you all through D&H. There'll be tools. But if you say, hey, I have customers I know that have firewalls in there, start that conversation with them. Add AMP and Umbrella. Leave their firewall in there and just get AMP and Umbrella and say, yeah, in 6 months we'll talk more about your firewall. But their firewall may be working fine. It's blinking. It's doing its part. It's IPS rules. It's application visibility and control. It's doing all those things, but a huge opportunity. And then, heck, we want to reward partners in this room. And your AM and SE, if approved, you all being the owners or maybe the representatives, for Q4, we have the Shogun Rewards Program for sales engineers, partner sales engineers. And they could sign up here. This deck will go out. There's a little hot link there to do it. And for the AM, for the partner AM, we've got the Ignite the Firewall. And here's how it works. Ignite your profitability with next-gen firewall with rewards. Register your deals. Greater than $10,000 on the deal, AM and SE each earn $200. Greater than $25,000 on the deal, AM and SE earn $500. But here's the cool part. Up to $500 in spiff for each deal, right here. Up to $250 for adding Umbrella or AMP or cloud email security. So if you add one cloud software, you get another $250. So they can be getting up to $750 per deal of 10K or more. It's just register. So let's look at this firewall real fast. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we're so excited about launching it. I thought there may be some people in the room going, I want to see some data on your firewall. This is first appearance data, so you guys are really the first ones to see it. But some of the speeds and feeds, which we don't like to go into, but 750 megabits of throughput. That's very powerful. And when we look at it against our competition, we did benchmarking just in the last couple months. This is where the competition is today on the low end of the firewall market. Okay? And so if you kind of remember one number, the 750 megabits of throughput and 2.2 gigabits per second, it's pretty powerful. Now, why is that important? Because we're pushing more application and software across the plane on the distributed branch edge, voice, video, and data. That's why we had to forklift upgrade our old firewalls, and our competition's doing the same. So sustainable performance over the next 5 to 7 years. Here's the primary deployment use cases: redundancy, dynamic NAT and PAT, and static NAT, and then VPN termination as well. Any questions?
Is that any connect VPN termination?
Yes. But there's some, and the switch and the IPsec, the L2 switch will be added in August, September on the firmware upgrade. So as you buy it, it'll just be a firmware upgrade to turn on that 5-port switch. Or 8-port switch, I think it said. Uh-oh.
There's going to be PoE switches?
PoE, yes, correct. That's going to come with the new firmware. So this turning on the switch and the PoE will happen in the firmware release 6.5. Say that again? Sorry.
Are you saying that those ports are dead right now until that?
In essence, yes, they're not turned on. So until that's doing that. But the reason why a lot of times say, well, why did we do that before we launched it? Because there's so many other features on it that those features we wanted to make sure we benchmark and tested across the L2 switch and the PoE. And there's going to be some additions to the PoE and the 6.5 firmware. So as you buy it, you can turn it on, and it'll just be a firmware download to activate that. And we're going to have like that paint by numbers, literally how to turn on your 5-port switch, how to do your L2 PoE. It'll be ready for you guys. So I'm sorry, I think my little remote turned out here. Device and cloud management, we'll wrap it up in just a few minutes. Everybody goes, well, hey, what's your cool new web UI? Well, we've got 2 of them. You know, Cisco Device Manager, that's the on-box manager that you guys have always used to turn on the firewall features. That's really cool and slick now. It's called Firepower Device Manager. And the new one, the brand new one that'll work with Meraki and Cisco and all other Cisco security products in the future, SMB to enterprise, CDO. There's one more acronym, Cisco Defense Orchestrator. But think of that as Meraki. Think of like Meraki. Think of that Cisco's Meraki for firewall. It's available now. It's free right now. There'll be a little price to it along the way, but you can actually download it for free and play around with it. So if you don't want to manage any firewall, sit back and go, hey, I'm just going to manage them from afar, my 5 that are out there at my customer's network, CDO. Get used to it, look at it. I ask you to go demo it. It's really cool.
Is there a question?
Yes.
For the larger firepowers, there's a third option, the firepower.
Oh, my management center. I took it off just because you're correct. So Firepower Management Center.
Still is able to manage the little one?
Yep, exactly. Just as a heads up. So if you want to use Firepower Management Center, we're not saying that Firepower Management Center is going to go away in lieu of CDO, but you can see that CDO for the SMB market's just a little more transparent. Firepower Management Center is for a larger deployment. But yes, for the folks in the rooms who have used Firepower Management Center, the appliance to manage multiple firewalls, still the same. Thank you for bringing that up. In fact, that was over there on the right. I took it away. So, just real visually, everybody sometimes goes, hey, there's a lot of numbers, part numbers and things. Old, new. Any questions? That's okay. You have any questions? No. I don't want to spend too much time looking at pictures. Yes?
If you were putting this up against the Fortinet line, which model would you be looking at?
FortiGate, this is much the new one, the 10, like the 20, you know, the FortiGate 20. This is much more powerful, but within, I'll call price performance based, you're going to get a lot more out of that than the FortiGate 20 and 40 for the 1010.
Would it be hardware-wise equivalent to more like a 60?
60, yeah, so 60. The FortiGate 60? 60E, yeah. So and the 1120, which is the 8-port, I'll call that you pay more for it than the 1010, but that performance-wise almost doubles. So what you're doing is Cisco, we're never going to be probably a price leader, obviously, in that regards, but performance per spec, that's where you're going to get the bang for the buck over the long haul. And you know what, we're targeting this right at that market, so just a heads up. Because I'll tell you this, Fortinet and PAN does more enterprise type mid-market, and then SonicWall WatchGuard. The toy firewall guys, I'm not saying that, they got to acquire if they're going to survive. Because the firewall isn't going to solve the security breach. It's going to be a multitude of integrated security, as we spoke about, right? You're still going to need a firewall. You're going to need horsepower at the distributed branch edge. That won't go away. But Fortinet and PAN got kind of a 5-year head start on Cisco. We were selling PIX boxes and ASAs for years, but if you remember, it was like an afterthought after a router or switch. It kind of came as, hey, would you like a security appliance with your giant Cisco order? You know, and I'm kind of being a little tongue-in-cheek there because we really didn't jump into security until 2015 or 16 when Cisco's coming out party was. When we acquired SourceFire, when we acquired StealthWatch, CloudLock, Observable Networks, Duo. Now our street talk on the street is integrated across it, and we've got all the right players right now. And we don't want to make it too confusing because we've got all these acquisitions and none of them go. We're integrating them, and they're already integrated. So you can see it now. So the last thing, I have about 5 minutes. The last thing right here, just this is everything. So for everybody, from left to right, small business, small to medium, data center, large country government, gigantic firewalls that run backbone. You guys want $1 million firewall? You could do that. Yeah, we'll raffle off one of the 9300s. That'll be a good one. You all could each have a slice of the firewall. How's that sound? Well, like a cake. Okay, so what we're going to do for you is, if anybody's ever taken advantage of our demo program, this will go live after first shipment, June 15th. We're getting Cisco Legal and Governance to do it, but it's 99% off. 90, that's free, basically. DIST has to put a little, or D&H has to put a little charge in there. But if you obtain your Express Security Specialization or your Fire Jumper, which is an SE course, Fire Jumper is an SE course, you obtain Stage 4 through D&H. Or you complete your Express Security Specialization, which does what for you? Moves you from registered to select. Okay, select gets you that OIP 80% off on firewall. So everybody in the room should be select by the next 20 minutes. No, that's just a tip, right? You all have to pick and choose where you put your resources, which vendor and everything. But I would highly recommend that everybody in the room at least has select certification from Cisco or above by the time we meet again. And D&H can help you do that. They got an extreme team that moves you through, getting you passed, getting you trained for that. But if you obtain any of those and you're in progress, D&H will put in, you'll register a deal ID. We will put your BEGO ID, your customer, your partner ID, in CCW as the only one who could see this promo at 99% off. And the 1010, this new product, and you'll get a 45-day trial license of Firepower software free for doing that. And the reason why, we want you to invest in your practice. We want you to have some skill around just firewall, what's new in the industry. This kind of gets you there. But then we say, hey, you know what? You're going to be more profitable just selling firewalls because you're now select. A minimum of 12 to 15 points more profitable on the street just by being select. So do the legwork, do the homework, get yourself in that mode. Last, Meraki for SMB. Meraki Secure SD-WAN. You're going to see that the MX and MR, how many sell the MX appliance today? Look at that, boom, 67 and 68s. It's got an SD-WAN feature in there. When you're using two out there, it can call back and look. You can actually see that it's being used in what Meraki calls as in an SD-WAN environment. So Meraki's really positioning kind of their cloud-based orchestration across software-defined wide area network for schools and campuses and vertical markets that are out there. By adding Umbrella, and if you're an MSP or an SMB out there, by adding Umbrella, you're adding that layer of security to the MX. So Meraki's integrated Umbrella. It's coming as a one SKU, but you're seeing it now. You can buy Umbrella licenses and Meraki together with MR and MX. So allowing that to happen across your CPE, what if you could secure every user on your wireless network in minutes? You're selling MRs and MXs out there. You're selling that full stack. You're driving that. You add Umbrella, and you're able to secure Wi-Fi and define policies, link Meraki dashboard directly to the Umbrella API, assign Umbrella policies to Meraki Wireless Next per SSID. About 5 minutes, you can look at that with Umbrella turned on, with insights. So this is something this is a really bare bones, simple approach to going, I just want to start a consultative talk with my client about being somewhat a layer of security. Would you like to try Umbrella with your Meraki solution? It's very cool. umbrella PPOV, partner proof of value. It's your console. D&H could help do air cover. Make sure you guys are doing everything right. Give you the step-by-step for making sure the console after you guys do the lab. Very cool. Simple. So please follow up on that. So Meraki has an MSP portal. Down there at the bottom, you'll get this deck. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. And then last, I mentioned the demos. vCloud demos, Meraki's got them, Cisco's got them. Take advantage of them. Here's the current demos for Meraki that you can take advantage of. Take a picture if you want, but you'll get this deck. And then I mentioned Meraki on Fast Track, right? 50% off every day. So if you're buying Meraki, Fast Track should be included on your D&H pricing. And then last, Camp Meraki. I had to do this plug. Is Larissa in the room? No. Larissa's our Meraki. Camp Meraki is coming this summer. And you as partners can onboard. And it's a journey that you can take with the Meraki teams on building your practice out, taking advantage of some of these demos. Stay tuned on more detail on Camp Meraki. And then last, I can only show you part of Chuck Robbins' face, our CEO. It's very, very cool when companies do have these transitions in CEOs, how the next CEO comes in and changes the company or updates the company. We had an incredible leader in John Chambers for 25 years. Think about that. John's out there doing goodwill for all these IT companies in Silicon Valley right now with upstarts. But Chuck's come in and really dynamically looked at how we forward think. We're not going to be this big Cisco enterprise backbone. We're going to cater and be able to drive integrated secure networks to every size customer in every size environment, from mobile to public and private cloud to distributed branch edge. We're going to take those ones and zeros across the IP for voice, video, and data and make them connected. And it's you, the partners, that are the multiplier effect. So he just, a big thank you. If you do happen to attend Cisco Live, you'll see him do the main stage around that and about how important it is for our partners and our distributors to be successful. So here are the key takeaways. Deliver the Cisco security integrated message. I think I hit that pretty hard. Solution-driven, integrated approach, long-term business value. Adopt a security consultative approach. That's you in the room. Develop your pitch. There's plenty of it on Sales Connect at Cisco and through D&H. Develop your pitch. Engage with the line of business manager, your customer, to address operationally efficient intent-based networking. Intent-based networking. Networks that are able to look at voice, video, and data, analyze it with analytics. That's changed. Build services. Threat defense solution, which I showed you in those two slides, the Firewall and the Meraki one. The Meraki Secure SD-WAN with Umbrella. Two things you can buy today and consume. The new Firewall, the 1010 here, is ready to ship June 15th. It'll be available at D&H in their warehouse June 15th. Next-gen Firewall refresh with customer incentives. Right now, your partner AM and SCs can take advantage of Ignite the Firewall, 80% off. And then register your deals to maximize your profitability and margin. Keep it simple, enhance margins, create a lifecycle experience for your customer. On behalf of Cisco and D&H and their leadership, I want to say thank you for your time today. I know you have a lot of sessions, but if there's any questions, I'll be at our booth, obviously, later. Or if you need to hit me up right now before our next session, feel free to come up and chat. But thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed this.